Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the KFG Podcast. I'm your host, as always, and commissioner of this beautiful, wonderful league. We were able to get together last week, so we skipped out on everything. The whole league was together. No need to record anything separately. We got to talk in person. Great time at the Bardis wedding. Congrats. Can't wait to get him on the podcast soon as a married man. For today's episode, just going to be me. Nice little solo episode. I don't usually do the solo episodes anymore, but I got a fun little segment today that I do every year. We're at the mid-season point of the year, so I'm going to do the power rankings as normal, but with a little twist. That twist today is going to be comparing you guys and your teams to current day NFL teams like I do every year. We're at the halfway point. It's only right we do this. So here's how it's going to go. Just a little breakdown quick. I'm going to shoot through the power rankings, but while I'm doing your power rankings, I'm also going to compare you to a real-life NFL team. Now, I don't want any backlash because this is not an NFL power ranking. So your spot in the league, like if you're the fifth team, I don't think of this NFL team as the fifth best team in the league or whatever it is. It's just comparing what you've done so far to another NFL team, similarities, and then also ranking your teams in the power rankings. So it should be a fun one. So, let's get into it. All right. Let's get into the power rankings and comparing you guys to NFL teams. We'll start off here. We'll start off here at number 10. We got Shijin. Shijin's been a rough start. We've tried to bounce him up a little bit, but every time he gets knocked back down. It's been tough with injuries. You lost CMC right off the bat, haven't even had him for a game yet. You've lost Nico Collins. Malik Neighbors missed a couple games. So, all of Shijin's top guys have been down. It reminds me of another team that's lost to skill position players early in the year. Hopefully, he can get them back. Hopefully, it's not too late. But Shijin is the Los Angeles Rams, who sit at 2-4 in real life. Shijin 2-5. They've lost Cup. They've lost Puka. Shijin's lost some of his top guys. I don't think it's too late. If he could kind of turn it around and get things going. The pieces are there, just not healthy. And if Shijin can kind of get things going quickly, hopefully it's not too late for Shijin. We don't want him to just keep looking back at that 2020 championship like the Rams and be like, what, one and done? No. Number 9, we got Steve. Steve currently sits at 3-4. An ugly win this past week. I'm looking at a team that hasn't had much playoff success in the recent years. You're talking about a team that hasn't won a championship. You're talking about a team that, is kind of just at this point throwing things at the wall, making these last-second trades to try and get some players. You got good names. You got good running backs. You got, veteran QB. Hopefully, people had high hopes for this team. It's the New York Jets, a team that has struggled so far and kind of is just throwing things at the wall, firing coaches, making trades for Devontae Adams. Steve's making trades for wide receivers and, hoping it pays off. Looks good so far, but, the success hasn't quite translated to points just yet. But Steve is, sitting right outside the playoffs. Definitely a chance to make a mark here. If he can rattle off a couple wins, Steve could definitely sneak his way in, just like the Jets could definitely sneak their way into the playoffs if they could, find their stride just a little bit here. At number 8, we got Emmett. I know, Emmett is by far the worst team in all KFG stats so far, but I feel like the team is right there. Every week it's not. It's so far yet to put it together. 5 games with under 100 points. The only 2 he hasn't, he won. So it's a team that when they can score, can win. You got young guys. You have you got your young receivers with Marv. You got Zay. You got Olave. They're banged up. They're not performing. I feel like we say it every week, but if they can get kind of healthy, Emmett does have a decent team around them to get things going. But it's tough when a lot of your first couple picks aren't there. Emmett's definitely a QB away as well. You're talking about a team that has played great defense, definitely given his offense a chance to win, but the offense can't capitalize, and they're definitely a QB away. And to me, I think of 2 teams, the New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints. We're talking about 2 teams that, they have 2 good weeks. They got 2 good wins, but they also have a bunch of losses because the offense is inept and can't perform. So it's a good-looking roster, but offensively, you're not able to get things going. Unfortunately for the Giants, their season is definitely done. I'm hoping Emmett can turn things around and maybe turn into a different NFL team, because you definitely don't want to be these two teams coming late in the year. At number 7, we got Barrera. Oh, and by the way, these pictures are all screenshot from the KFG photo we just took at the wedding. So I just clipped everyone's face off and threw it in here. So excuse a little bit of blurriness or whatever may be the case. But Barrera here sitting at 3-4, a team that's battled with a lot of injuries. You lost Jonathan Taylor. Now you're losing Godwin. I feel like every week it's a new injury for Barrera. You're talking about a team that's kind of got it done under the radar. A team that's battled through. He's won games. He's put things together. Is he sitting in the playoffs? He's right there. So, he can keep kind of stringing things together despite all these injuries. Barrera could find himself in the playoffs. He definitely has a strong team, will get a little bit healthier, has a good set of receivers, got a lot of weapons, just, able to get done sometimes, and some weeks, you're looking at it's just kind of the way of the Indianapolis Colts. You're talking about a team that's, you've seen flashes of greatness. Unfortunately, the flashes of greatness are with Joe Flacco and not Anthony Richardson, but you've seen the flashes that can make this team really good. And then you've seen a lot of injuries. You've seen a lot of wide receivers go down, running backs go down, even quarterbacks go down. So, you've seen those same kind of injuries. But right now the Colts are sitting in the playoffs. They're the 6th seed. Right now Barrera's right there. So you know what? He's tied for that 5th spot. Barrera can make the playoffs for sure. You just kind of have to keep it going. And this is a team that we kind of want to count out, but you can't count him out. He's always in it, despite all these injuries. So, Barrera's got a good team. Just hopefully he can kind of power through these injuries right now and keep himself alive for the postseason. At number 6, I got Drew, a team that, I've definitely been higher on despite some early season struggles. And despite those early season struggles, he's battled back, and now he has a winning record. A winning record with an explosive team. You have these star-studded weapons. You got your Lamar. You got your Kyron Williams. You got your Jamar Chase. These are guys that could put up, Drew could put up 150 any given week just because of his top guys, But he's also struggled a little bit. So it just kind of goes back and forth. I think Drew plays to his team. He plays up for the better teams, maybe down for the worst teams, and gets into those gritty matchups. But he can win games just like the Green Bay Packers. This is a team that is explosive, that has a lot of weapons, that kind of just chucks shit up. You've seen Jordan Love throw those ugly interceptions. I've seen Drew throw some ugly interceptions in his day, but it's fine. He's picked Zamir White in the 6th round, in the 5th round, whatever it was. He's taken a few tequila shots. He gets a little rowdy, just like the Green Bay Packers, but you know what? He comes through in the end, and he can keep a close game, and he can win any game. They're never out of it. So I like Drew as the Green Bay Packers here at number 6, and we'll get into the top 5 here with Kyle Bardis, a team that I've definitely been a little bit more sluggish on, but I'm starting to come around to when just looking at all the teams. He's got a good roster. He's got, Josh Allen. He's got Jacobs, who's playing well. Aaron Jones is playing well. Saquon Barkley's been awesome. So, Kyle's got a strong roster, but I've seen Kyle have some ugly games. You've seen the lows where you're like, is this team, like this team is not good. You've seen those lows, but then you see these explosive weeks for 140 plus, and you're like, all right, that's the team I know is on. I know I have that with this team. And you know what? That's the Philadelphia Eagles. A team that's definitely struggled at times. They've looked ugly. They've played those ugly games where you're like, this team is not it. But then they turn around and, they beat teams 28-3 and blow the doors off the place, So I like Kyle as our Philadelphia Eagles. At number 4, I got Greg. Surprisingly enough, I got Greg at 5-2. It's been an ugly ride for Greg these last couple weeks, which is why I kind of am dropping him a little bit lower. He's won these ugly matchups, but you're talking about a team that's well respected around the league, a guy that always is winning. He still has a good roster of players. It's weird. It's Kareem Hunt, it's Chuba Hubbard. Zach Moss kind of getting it done. Devontae, it's been up and down ride so far, but Greg has those guys like CeeDee Lamb, that are hopefully going to come back from the bye week now and help carry this team. But again, like I said, it's a well-respected team that always kind of gets it done. They're going to be in the playoffs. You don't want to root for them because they've won already. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that can win in ugly ways. You've seen it. You're not glued to a Chiefs game like in years past. You're not glued to Greg's games like in years past. You're like, how is he even winning this game? And, someone should have lost this game, and Greg comes out winning it every time. So I like him as Kansas City Chiefs. You're talking about the only 2 times. You're talking about the 2-time defending champs. So, you have to put some kind of respect around Greg's name, around the Chiefs' name, despite the fact that the league obviously wants to root against them. So I got Greg at number 4. At number 3, I got Bartis at 3 and 4, surprisingly. So you know me, I've been high on Bartis' team. I love it. I just look at the roster and I love it. You know, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown. You got Travis Kelce, who's starting to kind of come into form just a little bit. So I mean, not even getting to Jordan Mason, Devon Achane. Like, there's been up and downs with him. Burrow and Higgins are finally finding their stride. So it's like, it's been up and down. You know, it's a team that on paper at the beginning of the year, you booked into the playoffs no matter what. You saw the early season struggles. You're like, hold on. And now you're seeing them come into form a little bit. You know, the offense is definitely can be there. So I think it's kind of just, you know, a team that doesn't really play much defense, a weak defense, kind of throws a lot of offense at it. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. You know, this is a team that we expect to be in the postseason. You know, that's just kind of the expectations we have. I know a lot of these teams are led by the players that are starting your team, but that kind of just helps roll into it. You know, you got Joe Burrow, you got T. Higgins on both sides here, and then you got some star-studded receivers, star-studded players all around. You know, a nice duo of running backs, an LSU lead wide receiver. So it definitely is fitting here, and it's a team that we expect to be in the postseason come late in the year. You know, and at number 2, I got myself. It was a rough 2 weeks in the middle there. Started off hot, had a slow coming, and now had to find their stride a little bit. You know, despite maybe some shaky quarterback play early with Kyler Murray, you know, we kind of found our stride. You know, it's a loaded roster on offense. You've seen what this team can do. You've seen this team play. You know, I'm talking about a team that, you know, never won a championship, doesn't really have that playoff success. It's the Detroit Lions, and I do this a lot. But, you know, is it contender? Is it pretender? You know, it's a team that hasn't been able to get it done, and hopefully, like the Lions, we're looking to get over that hump. And I know I had the Lions team name. I got Jahmyr Gibbs. I got Amon-Ra, so obviously it helps out in this comparison. But you're talking about a team that's found their stride, that they're, you know, leading their division, they're leading their conference, whatever it may be. It's a successful team that you expect to be in the playoffs. You expect to possibly win their division, and then you expect hopefully to make a run at things this time around. You know, like the Lions last year got to the NFC Championship game. Hoping I can do the same, if not a step further with my roster. You know, 2 powerful running backs, good wide receivers, a great young tight end. You know, the similarities are there for sure. And then at number 1, that just leaves Josh, who's a team that, you know, maybe started off slow, but since then has kind of just been cooking straight through. It's a team that when he can play his way, has a lot of success. It's a team that you definitely expect to keep it going, led by a strong running back in Derrick Henry. It's the Baltimore Ravens. Josh is kind of that same way where, you know, when he plays to his strength, he's winning games. He's dominating in all facets. You know, defense, maybe he's going to let up a lot of points in the process, but that offense is so explosive, he can get it done. He's got Breece Hall. He's got Derrick Henry. Jaden Daniels, obviously, hopefully is okay, but he's got him too. Josh just has this dominating team with good pairing receivers that complement it nicely with Drake London. Hopefully Terry McLaurin bounces back now. Deontay Johnson hopefully can bounce back. So, I mean, Josh has a really, really good team, just like the Baltimore Ravens. So that kind of runs through our list there in our power rankings. Quick episode, so let me know how I did. If you think your team compares to someone else, maybe at the end of the year, you know, we'll take a look back and be like, who was who at the end of the year, as opposed to the, you know, did the midseason predictions or comparisons kind of come true towards the end of the year? Let me know how I did. Let me know if you think you should have been compared to someone else. And yeah, that's our week, 8 now, power rankings. So best of luck here in week 8. We'll see how these power rankings hold up towards the end of the year and towards even next week. You know, we're always changing. The league is so close, so tight-knit. Only 1 game out from the playoffs, everyone is. So it's going to be a fun year. And, you know, as always, man, keep fantasy great. We'll see you next time with a fun or spooky episode.